a place where we slow things down, take a deep breath, and make sense of the world one idea at a time. Today's topic is something you deal with every single day, often without realizing it. It affects the clothes you wear, the food you eat, the shows you watch, the goals you chase, and even the person you become. It's a psychological trap that feels harmless, yet quietly shapes your happiness, your decisions, and the way you move through modern life. It's called the paradox of choice. The strange idea that the more options we have, the harder everything becomes. So let's dig in. Let's peel back the layers and understand why too much freedom can make us feel stuck, overwhelmed, or even unhappy. And more importantly, how to get out of this trap. Let me ask you a simple question. If I gave you 10 options to choose from, would you feel happier than if I only gave you 2? Most people say yes. But here's the strange part. The more options we have, the worse our decisions tend to be, and the less satisfied we feel afterward. This is what psychologists call the paradox of choice. And today we're going to break it down layer by layer until you can feel exactly why the human mind struggles when there are too many options and how it silently affects your daily life in ways you might not even notice. Let's begin with something familiar. Imagine you walk into a supermarket just to buy toothpaste. You expect maybe 3 choices: mint, whitening, sensitive, but instead you see an entire wall of toothpaste. Whitening with charcoal, whitening with baking soda, gentle whitening, ultra whitening, sensitive repair, sensitive pro repair, fresh mint, extra fresh mint, extreme mint, gel, paste, foam, strips, organic, fluoride free, kids version, extra large family size. You stare at it. Your brain freezes a little. And suddenly, something as simple as brushing your teeth becomes a mini existential crisis. This is the paradox of choice at work. The paradox starts from something that sounds logical. More freedom equals better decisions. But the reality is a bit different. Because our brains didn't evolve in a world with 50,000 products on Amazon, or millions of videos to watch, or unlimited possibilities for everything we buy, do, or become. Our minds evolved to deal with scarcity, not abundance. And when abundance becomes overwhelming, the brain reacts in surprising ways. But let's not jump ahead. Let's take this one step at a time. Let's start with a simple question. Why does having too many choices make us feel worse, not better? To understand that, imagine another everyday situation. You sit down to eat. You scroll through a food delivery app. There are 5,000 restaurants offering 15 million dishes. 10 minutes pass. 15 minutes. You still haven't ordered anything. Then you finally choose a restaurant, pick a dish, place the order. And the moment you hit confirm, you think, maybe I should have ordered something else. This is not you being indecisive. It's your brain hitting its limits. There are several reasons why this happens. The first is decision fatigue. Every decision, even tiny ones, uses up mental energy. Think of your brain like a battery. Each time you make a choice, some charge drains away. And when there are too many options, the number of tiny decisions multiplies. Your brain tries to compare everything with everything else. And in doing so, you end up tired before you even make the actual choice. This is why many CEOs wear the same outfit every day. Not because they're boring, but because they're protecting their limited mental energy for decisions that actually matter. So the first problem is exhaustion. But there's a second problem, the fear of missing out. When you pick one option out of 20, you're not just choosing one thing. You're simultaneously rejecting 19 others. And your brain can't help but wonder, what if one of those 19 was better? Even if the option you chose is perfectly good, the idea of losing the alternatives creates a quiet, sinking feeling. That feeling is regret, even when nothing actually went wrong. This, by the way, is why people sometimes feel worse about decisions when they have more freedom. More choices mean more potential regret. But there's still more to this paradox. Psychologists noticed that people fall into 2 main decision-making styles. The first group is called maximizers. Maximizers want the perfect choice, the absolute best. They compare everything. They research endlessly. They read every review. They watch every video. And even after choosing, they second-guess themselves. The second group is called Satisficers. Satisficers look for an option that's good enough. They don't demand perfection. Once they find something that meets their standards, they stop searching and feel satisfied. Here's the twist: maximizers almost always get better outcomes, better deals, better products, better results. But they are significantly less happy with their choices. Meanwhile, Satisficers accept things that aren't perfect, yet they are consistently more satisfied with their decisions. So the paradox is not just about how many choices exist, it's also about who is choosing. But let's push deeper. Why do choices make us unhappy even after we make them? One key reason is expectation inflation. When we see 100 options, our expectations rise. We expect to find something amazing. We imagine the perfect solution. And once perfection enters the picture, reality almost always feels disappointing. Think about watching movies. Back when the only thing on TV was whatever happened to be playing, you accepted it. Now, with massive streaming platforms, your expectation is that you're always minutes away from an incredible show. But ironically, you spend most of the time scrolling and less time enjoying. The same thing happens with shopping dating apps, phone plans, airline tickets, even choosing what to do on the weekend. Too many options secretly raise the bar of what we expect. And when the real experience doesn't match, that ideal disappointment sets in. To see this paradox clearly, let's look at one of the most famous psychology experiments ever conducted, the jam study. At a grocery store, researchers set up a table offering free samples of jam. Sometimes they displayed 24 flavors. Sometimes they displayed only 6. When there were 24 flavors, more people stopped by. It looked more exciting, more attractive. People wanted to try the samples. But when it came to actually buying a jar, things flipped upside down. Only 3% of people who saw 24 flavors bought a jar of jam, but 30%, 10 times more, bought a jar when there were only 6 options. The study revealed something simple but profound. Too many options attract attention, but fewer options lead to action. And this lesson extends far beyond jam. It explains why people procrastinate, why they delay big decisions, why they feel anxious about choosing a career, why shopping feels overwhelming, why scrolling endlessly through apps or videos feels draining. And it explains something deeper about modern life. For the first time in history, almost every aspect of our lives has become a decision with unlimited possibilities. Where to live, what job to take, which skills to learn, what to eat, which hobbies to try, who to date, what content to watch. Your grandparents often had one path in life. You have thousands. More freedom, yes, but also more pressure, more uncertainty, more room for regret, more fear of choosing wrong. This is the hidden cost of abundance. So, what can we do about it? How do we escape the paradox of choice while still enjoying the freedom of a modern world? There are a few simple but powerful techniques. The first is limit your choices intentionally. When faced with 20 options, narrow it down to 3. Your brain handles 3 very well. It struggles with 20. Second, use the 80% rule. If a choice meets 80% of what you want, go with it. Perfection is a trap. Good enough is usually more than enough. Third, set time limits. Give yourself 5 minutes to choose something small, like what to watch or what to eat. Give yourself 1 day to choose something medium. Give yourself 1 week for something big. Beyond that, more time rarely leads to better decisions, just more anxiety. Fourth, reduce decisions that don't matter. Automate your morning routine. Eat a simple breakfast. Wear simpler outfits. Remove small decisions so you can save energy for bigger ones. And finally, learn which type of decision maker you are. If you're a maximizer, perfection is your enemy. If you're a satisficer, trust your instinct more. When we simplify our choices, something surprising happens. Life feels lighter, decisions feel easier, and satisfaction becomes more natural. The paradox of choice teaches us something important. Freedom is not about having unlimited options. It's about having the right options. The ones that matter, the ones that serve your values, the ones that move you forward. But the most powerful idea of all is this. A good life is not built by finding the perfect choice every time. It's built by choosing something good, committing to it, and letting yourself enjoy it fully. Because happiness doesn't come from having more. It comes from caring more about what you already have, and worrying less about everything else you could have chosen instead. So the next time you face a wall of options, whether it's toothpaste careers, relationships, food, or even what to watch tonight, remember this. Less can be better. Less can be clearer. Less can be happier. And sometimes the best choice is simply choosing without fear. Because life becomes much easier, much calmer, and much more enjoyable when we stop trying to find the perfect option and start appreciating the one right in front of us. And that is the paradox of choice. A simple idea with a surprisingly deep impact on our daily lives. Because in a world overflowing with options, we often forget that clarity doesn't come from having more. It comes from knowing what truly matters. It comes from choosing with intention, not fear. From valuing the decisions we make instead of obsessing over the ones we didn't. If today's explanation helped you see things a little differently, consider sticking around. Here on Plain Explain, we take big ideas, break them down gently, and explore how they shape the way we think, act, and live. Thank you for listening, and thank you for being here. Until next time, choose simply, live lightly, and let your mind breathe.